Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another edition of Pass the Gloves On. I hope you're finding some of the content useful and enjoyable and as beneficial as we are. We've loved doing them. Today, I'm delighted to be chatting with Martin Thomas. Tomo is a goalkeeping guru and enthusiast who's influenced the game in the UK and across the globe so much over the last 25 years. I'm really looking forward to talking to Tomo. Fortunately enough, I get to do it every day, but hopefully it's an opportunity for you guys to step into this world and Tomo to share some of his amazing insight and some of his pearls of wisdom for coaches, goalkeepers, and enthusiasts. Hope you enjoy it. I'm just going to jump on with him now. Good morning, Tomo. Welcome to Pass the Gloves On, my friend.
Morning, Tim. How are you doing?
Very good, very good. Listen, you don't need much of an introduction. I think we'll get through loads of this during the chat. But I suppose just to get you started, from a budding young goalkeeper in the Valleys, through to a professional, through to a coach developer, and in your current role now. Take us through how it all started, how it all began, and back in the day, what was it like?
Well, it started, as you say, in the valleys of South Wales. Came from a total rugby background. My dad played for Cardiff in the late 40s, early 50s. My elder brother also went on to play for Cardiff through the 70s. Went through primary school, no football whatsoever, only rugby. Then went to the Cardinal Newman secondary school, and basically exactly the same there. So had no sort of football within school, but played sort of socially and in the street. But I was 13 before I sort of joined an official team and played on a full-size pitch in goals. Didn't have nets, mind, Tim.
So I'm guessing you've been playing like a lot of sports from kind of like age 5 up to 12, and then you found football at 13, or some more formalised football. What was it that sparked that kind of goalkeeping bug for you? What put you between the sticks?
I think it would be the 69 Cup final. That's the first Cup final I remember. It was Leicester City against Manchester City. I would have been 10-year-old at the time. And Peter Shilton played in goal for Leicester on that day, 19-year-old. And there was just something about that sort of, I had given me a sort of interest in it. And at that time, there was a local boys club, but their earliest team was under 12s. So I used to go and train with them, and I just end up going in goal every now and again. But because I was a couple of years younger, there was no formal football for me as such. And then I joined that club later on, and I think under 13 was my first full season. And by then, by about 12-year-old, I'd sort of enjoyed playing in goal, you know. So, but still not in a full-size goal within a game, you know.
Yeah. And what do you think? Looking back, what do you think some of your previous experiences, younger than that? What do you think they gave you in terms of attributes? What gave you a leg up to being obviously a talented goalkeeper when you got to 12, 13?
Well, playing rugby, I played scrum half, outside half, and fullback. So in terms of handling a muddy oval-shaped ball, when it came to actually catching a round ball with, especially with a pair of gloves on as well, I found that so much easier. Definitely multi-sports, did everything. Having twin brothers, 3 years older than me, and of course, as I said, our Dave went on to play rugby. I think sport was just in the family, and obviously with Dad, so we just got brought up with it. So whatever was going on, whether it was out in the street, whether it was playing touch rugby, whether it was playing football or during the summer cricket, and then even down to the athletics within school, because all we had was rugby and athletics. As I said, no football.
Yeah, and I imagine a lot of that sounds competitive. Competing against your brothers, competing against your friends, your brothers' friends. How did you deal with that? The kind of like the ups and downs of succeeding, not succeeding at all them different sports.
Yeah, when you sort of look back, especially when there been that 3-year difference, which was absolutely massive, from 9-year-old, say, when I'm 9-year-old, they 12-year-old. But I think the opportunity to play with older lads, and I didn't seem fazed by it, and no doubt, when it came to it, there were times that, that I probably wasn't ready for it. But, psychologically, it never ever caused me a problem. And even when I went into school, at rugby, when I was sort of 12, I was playing under 14 rugby. And I was playing for the first when I was, would have been my 3rd year. So about 14, 15, I was playing with 17-year-olds, So I presume you learn to handle yourself,
Yeah. And can you recall any kind of like moments where you like struggled or specific difficulties around that time and them younger ages that you found challenging? Anything spring to mind?
Yeah, the first one was getting knocked out. Playing as a 14-year-old within sort of 17-year-old competition. Just a poor tackling technique and getting knocked out and find myself in hospital. That probably wasn't one of the most pleasant things. But there's nothing I can sort of I can remember other than just every day you'd be competing, and if you had a bump the following day, you'd still be out there,
Yeah.
But the multi-sport aspect, I think that helped me along the way. But we can never ever measure the influence of my family, my dad and my brother on me, which I personally think that was probably the biggest influence, more so than anything else.
Yeah. Okay. So I know we'll come on to a lot of other stuff shortly, but thinking about like society now and the exposure and opportunity that youngsters have, not just to football, but to all sports, but in this case, goalkeeping. What advice would you give to a young goalkeeper in today's times, if you wanted them to try and get that same exposure and experiences that you had?
I think there's probably a few things. The first thing, they've really got to have the sort of desire and determination that that's what they want to do. And unfortunately, sometimes they get pigeonholed too young. So my advice would be experience all the different sports, take as much out of them as you can. When you do get to an age where you've made the decision, that's what you like, and in my case, obviously goalkeeping, I just think there's two elements to it then, and definitely the one block I missed out on. The play side of it, I had loads of, but in terms of coaching, I didn't actually get coached till I was 14 and a half. So, I missed all those building blocks early on. So if I'd taken part in some sort of goalkeeping type technique, type school, type skill work, skill acquisition. But in saying that, 14 and a half before, I actually had a coach who really took an interest, but then not necessarily from a goalkeeping point of view. At the time, there were no specialized goalkeeping coaches.